This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
The CEO of HealthSpace, Silas Garrison. How are you, bud?
Hey, Todd. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm fantastic. I'm a happy guy. I just had a baby a couple weeks ago.
Oh, congrats. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, our second little baby, and so it's a busy time.
I can't imagine. Do you have a boy or a girl?
Little girl. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Little girl. How are things for you as the CEO of HealthSpace going? How's biz?
Business is good. It has been extremely busy. We have no amount of stopping of work to do. And as a lot of, I know, shareholders have been asking, sales are actually going phenomenally well. I'm going to, we'll update shareholders very shortly, but things are going extremely well. The marketplace is really responding to our product, and we've positioned ourselves to where we've known this for a while, but now we're actually getting it through to our, core market, which is that we are truly the most standout and unique and powerful product in our space. So it's really cementing itself as that market leader as we are going forward.
Now, I know that we've talked numerous times, and that I understand the nature of your business, but for the new listener, why don't you explain sort of what you're standing out in, Silas?
Absolutely. So at its core, we believe that government can be more efficiently run, and there's a lot of inefficiencies in a regulatory process that could be made better by software. So we have a enterprise cloud solution and mobile apps that aid in the regulatory process. These are government agencies that inspect and regulate restaurants, schools, daycares, tattoo parlors. The list goes on and on and on. But our software is intended to make the regulatory process easier and the day-to-day jobs and lives of government employees all across Canada and the U.S. easier to perform their day-to-day functions.
I love to hear it, and good like revenue reports, aren't there?
Yeah, the beauty of working with government is that the revenue is sticky. They sign long-term contracts, usually averaging 5 years, sometimes 7 years. So, and they're reticent to change technology. So once they make a choice, once they go with HealthSpace, it's very unlikely that they're going to make a change at any point in the future. And in fact, HealthSpace, with our customer service record and good track record of delivering good, solid solutions, has never really lost a client in its 20-year history, which even predates me.
Yeah, it's pretty insane to think about never losing a client. Such great business for you. Are you working on sort of new types of solutions too? You're always innovating?
Yeah, so within the government space, there's really no one targeting what I would term, and to use a big word, interoperability, but really the collaboration between the government and the constituents they represent. And in our case, a lot of environmental health departments, the folks that regulate and keep safe our food and the restaurants and things, they have to interact with private businesses, and they also have to interact with citizens, right, to field complaints and make sure that they're safe. So we are standing up a portal, which we've talked about at length at times, Todd, but, we are working on myhealthdepartment.com, which will be kind of the one-stop shop for both citizens and private businesses, primarily targeted at private businesses, to interact with all of their regulatory data, their permits, their inspections, file for new applications, pay their fees. There's always fees that go into a government process, and we are targeting these businesses so that they have an easier path to getting towards compliance.
Very exciting to hear. One of the things I was thinking about, we've been seeing it for a decade now, but really last few weeks back in the forefront with this Greta Thunberg and stuff, everything to do with climate change and the necessities of business and countries, quite frankly, to change their ways of carbon emissions and do better. And I'm like, man, I feel like HealthSpace could come up with sort of a solution on tracking that, like in terms of how does the government track who is doing what, who is agreeing to their accords, to their deals that they've done where, there's all these, climate change accords, and there's all these agreements from companies not to put emissions in the air and stuff, or a certain amount, in terms of weighing that, is that a space you could ever see your company getting into to sort of manage it all?
So, in a short answer, absolutely. The elongated truth is that a lot of these accords and these, pacts made between countries, or even laws that are regulated and created, which there's been very few in the way of actual, change that is significant. But even when laws are created, they're usually done at a federal level. Most, especially in the U.S., most laws that are impactful are really passed at a local or a state level. And so when regulation starts to catch up to the growing need of regulations behind certain things with the climate change, or really just environment in general, having a foothold into the government for our solutions, we automatically become a natural solution and a step forward in any new regulations that's introduced. So the long answer is, as new laws are passed, a new regulation is introduced, our software is there, especially as we have the existing relationships, to be able to capture would become that new business that falls from new regulations, new laws.
Really interesting. Do you think that people are doing enough about this climate change? Do you think they need some sort of reconciliation, some sort of like you're doing with it? I always go back to, it sounds simplified, and, I don't want to necessarily relate the two, but I guess, Silas, this is exactly what I'm doing. When you think of restaurants and safety inspections and passes or failures, and you keeping on track of that over at HealthSpace and myhealthdepartment.com, and then putting that out there to the consumer to know what businesses to go and support, and wanting to know if they want to step into an establishment, have they been compliant? I just think that could be done on all levels.
It absolutely can, and it absolutely should, right? Government exists for a reason. It's the core fabric between everything that exists in our society. It is supposed to be the unbiased party that keeps everything in check, right? And so from that standpoint, our software is intended to help the government keep up with those new checks and balances. And so, as new things are introduced, as new laws are introduced, we are there at the ready, and we actually find a lot of gratification in providing solutions that actually aid the government bodies in helping businesses keep in compliance. Because it's not we like to view it as more carrots and stick. It's actually good for everybody when your food is served safe. No one wants to go to a restaurant, and the restaurant themselves don't want you to eat at their establishment and become sick, right? And so the same thing goes into the environment, right? You don't want to pollute, the world we live in, and harm the long-term effects of, future generations. So it's all very important, and we as HealthSpace actually have an active role in helping see these things through.
Yeah, I love to hear that, and also what's so great about it is, you report back to the end consumer, and that's one thing I think that we especially the younger generations, they want to see accountability. They want to see if you're going to say a promise, that you follow through with it. And if there was I don't even know how to track, I wouldn't know where to track who's the biggest polluters just based on, maybe I'll hear countries are certain countries, but where does that come from? Governments, private enterprise, what kind of industries are worse than others? And it would be really neat to just pull up something like you're doing again in the food space, and put it in the climate change space, and then show, and then have somewhere back that we could go and look at and go, we don't want to support this business because we see that clearly they're not supporting what their promises were in helping this environment.
No, it's precisely right, and you touch on the key word there. It's accountability, and part of accountability has to be transparency. And really, in the age in which we live, where everything is digital and online, there's a large aspect of the compliance process, whether it is food, whether it is the physical building, code enforcement that you are residing in, or whether it's the environment and pollution and all those type of things. Those things, the accountability can only be effective if there's transparency. And transparency in this day and age means online availability. And that is what we provide.
Wow, good to hear. Silas Garrison from HealthSpace.com. One of the big things you do is having your cloud-based system accessible to governments. And, when we think of cloud-based systems, and again, when I think of retail or the consumer, it's sort of, you subscribe, you pay a little extra fee on your iPhone, or, you have stuff in Gmail and everything. Can you guys do cheaper solutions for the regular person who just wants to kind of keep old email, old pictures, old data?
Yeah, absolutely. So we believe in providing the necessities for free. So our platform, myhealthdepartment.com, as we continue to roll this out, we believe in making it free for everybody, right? Free for the businesses that operate. And, where we can gain upside to, maximize shareholder value and actually, find revenue as this is in adding value-add features, right? So you can access all your regulatory data, you can see inspections, but maybe having extended features that, because we are a private business and we have to, feed our employees and make sure that they are taken care of, having those features as a pay-for-play type of thing. But we do believe in at least the core basics, the core tenets of this governmental data, access to your regulatory compliance, and helping you as a private business actually keep in compliance. We believe that those core tenets should be provided for free.
Are people keeping too much stuff online, do you think, Silas? Do you think some people we're just sort of keep taking pictures, we keep making documents, we keep sending email, we keep backing it up? Is there, do you think there's ever a point where it's a little bit gluttonous in that department and we could sort of cut back? It's almost like online hoarding.
There's definitely online hoarding that goes on. If I'm being personal, I think I'm an online hoarder. Probably I back up everything to the cloud. So there is an element to where what is too much, but that ship has really sailed. And because we have ingrained this into kind of our DNA as a society globally, that it would be tough to say what is too much. I will say that there are certain things that I think are a bridge too far. And so some of these household items, like a smart household, and personally, this is just my opinion, but some of those I like to participate in because, as I know from it, as being in technology, and most people have experienced or at least read news articles about things, if it's online, there's hopefully a slim to none chance, but there's still a chance that things are hackable, right? And so I don't really buy into having my door being unlocked from my cell phone or a camera in my home for security reasons, because someone could, at the end of the day, access that, whether inadvertently or through nefarious means. So there's certain things that I believe, you can show constraint on and not just digitize everything and bring everything in your house online. But that's just within your personal household. Everything like photos and critical documents definitely have a place and more value when they are shared in an online format.
Yeah, it's good advice. And, people, I think, take it for granted what they're doing and opening up. And, there's been even rumors of Amazon and Google listing devices. I know even I tweeted out yesterday, Silas, and I really mean this. It's unbelievable, the ads, and we've talked about this in the past, but the ads I get on my Instagram account when I haven't even Googled it or searched it online, I've just been talking about it. I need new stools. I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said I wanted gold stools, like a gold flavor in not real gold, but gold, that gold look of furniture in the home. And sure enough, literally within 5 minutes, I'm scrolling through Instagram, I'm getting advertised gold stools. It's insane.
Oh yeah, there is a server out there with snippets of Todd Shapiro's voice saying he wants gold stools. And you know what? The big corporate conglomerates such as Amazon or Google or whatever, Facebook, they're going to say that, well, we don't actually tag it as, Todd Shapiro. It doesn't have your name on that record. But there's still probably a catalog of statements you have made in private that are still on a server somewhere. There's a lot of evidence to support that. It's
that
crazy,
is so freaky, huh? If you think of all the billions of people in this world and all the things that they're saying on smartphones or in front of computers and stuff, and yet there's just there's voice recognition, there's data recognition, there's face recognition. We really are in a matrix, aren't we?
Well, you know what? I mean, it is an interesting time in which we live, and as there are new technology advancements, there's always going to be someone who taps into it for various reasons. And, you know, like I said earlier, I mean, the ship in some ways has sailed on that because we live in the age in which we live in. It's all up to the personal consumer to make choices that are smart for them. And, yeah, I mean, there's really no better way to put it.
Well said. A sort of separate conversation here, but I was hanging out with a good friend of mine. His name is Ed, and he's a company is called Core Cabling. And he said a lot of people, even in the like if you're an electrician, they're freaking out in that space because now these Cat 5 cables or Cat 6 cables, or is that what they're called? That they have now the ability, like your internet cables that you would plug into your TV just to get your to get a better signal, can now be run as electrical wires, and you can they're lighting on them, and if it's you can't get shocked from them. They're low voltage, and it's tech is what's going on with tech is truly pretty amazing.
It really is, and you know what? As with any new advancements in technology, even if you go back hundreds of years, especially through the Industrial Revolution, there's always negative pitfalls in new inventions. And you just got to figure out the best ways to keep those negative aspects at bay. And those go through protection, securities. And honestly, it goes back to government having regulation to keep things in check so that the things that are provided are safe. They aren't provided in nefarious ways. And so, yeah, I mean, the core and crux of what we do, and it kind of just brings it all home, right? It's about government regulation through smart means to protect the end consumer from a business doing something that could be considered a little bit dangerous, if not downright just wrong.
Well, that's what I love about your company, HealthSpace.com, and is the fact that you have, a ton of government contracts, been working with governments, government-backed, government-secured, and you guys are providing that security for governments and providing the reconciliation for governments, clearly doing something right. Now, everyone knows I'm not qualified to give financial advice. I'm not allowed doing that. We also, we do work together to make that a full disclosure thing as an investor in HealthSpace due to our relationship. It's always a stock that I tell people to have a look at, do your due diligence. Again, I can't give financial advice, but take a look and find out what the company's doing and the direction they're headed. And, of course, it's always about a strong management team. And the CEO, Silas Garrison, has proven just how strong he is. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, my man.
Every time. It's a pleasure.
Okay. HS is their ticker symbol. Again, do your due diligence. Thank you to Silas.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.